Hello everyone. So today our class will be with our new topic called Introduction to TCP/IP. So till yesterday we have completed chapter 1 and chapter 2. So this is our chapter 3, and let us begin. Few of the topics we have already discussed, but again we'll briefly recap if it is needed. Okay, so let's start now. So if you look at TCP/IP, what is TCP/IP? TCP/IP is Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, and it is the main protocol which is used for communication between the devices. Okay, so end-to-end connection or whatever types of connection we have in the network, everything depends on the TCP/IP protocol. So as we have already discussed earlier, that for a network to work or to build a network, you need three major components like media, network device, and protocol. And out of the protocol, the most widely used protocol is TCP/IP. And we have also covered this comparison in the previous chapter, the comparison between OSI model and TCP/IP DMOD model. But let us recap. So in OSI model, we have 7 layers. In TCP/IP model, we have 4 layers. So if you compare, yes, the lower 2 layers, that is physical and data link layer of OSI model, are merged into one layer in TCP/IP model, that is layer 1, which is called as network access layer or network interface layer. Network layer from OSI model represent internet layer of TCP/IP DoD model. Transport layer corresponds to host layer. And again, upper 3 layers of OSI model, layer 5, 6, and 7, that is session, presentation, and application layer, combined together into application layer of TCP/IP DoD model. So let us look into the layer of TCP/IP model. So first we are going to discuss which are the applications you are running. In application, I told you, most of the applications will be working in application layer. I told example of file transfer application, we have this protocol like TFTP, FTP, NFS. The most popular one are TFTP, FTP. If you look at TFTP means trivial file transfer protocol. It is generally used for your small transfer of small file. Okay, it comes under UDP and it uses port number 69, and it is connection less. Okay, and if you look at FTP is TCP based, and it uses port number 20, 21, and it is connection oriented. It also supports authentication, but if you look at TFTP, it is without authentication. I mean, it doesn't need authentication. And then you have NFS, network file system, that also can be used as per your requirement. If you look at email service or email application, we have SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, which comes under TCP, and it uses port number 25. It is connection oriented based, and other protocols which are used by email are IMAP, POP3. POP3 is Post Office Protocol version 3, and it uses port number 110 under TCP. For remote login application, we can use Telnet. We have SSH, Secure Shell. We have RLogin. So there are few more we will be discussing later as it comes in the chapter. For network management, we use SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. Then for name management or name resolution, use DNS, domain name service. So DNS uses both protocol, TCP as well as UDP, and it uses port number 53. So all this protocol can be used by our router or any network devices. If you look at TCP or TCP model, transport layer or host-to-host layer, it uses two protocol or two major protocol which works in this layer, TCP and UDP. As we have already discussed this in previous class, TCP is connection oriented, UDP is connectionless, TCP is reliable, UDP is unreliable. So these are the difference or comparison between these two protocols. TCP is transmission control protocol, UDP is user datagram protocol. So a few more difference will come or similar as it comes, we'll discuss. So let us look into TCP segment. If you look at TCP segment or header length, TCP header, the length of the header is 20 bytes and it is represented in 32 bits. The length of the header is 20 bytes. So in that you have source port, destination port, then these are the source port number and destination port number. Then you'll have a sequence number because TCP supports sequencing, and then the acknowledgement number because it's a reliable product. Then you have header length. Okay, length of the header is a reserved bit, and code bits. Okay, so now code bits will be used with your urgent bits. Okay, only when there is an end of urgent bit required. Generally, it will be used with your sync during a handshake, three-way handshake connection. Okay, during that time, code bits will be used. Can be used. Next, we have windowing for flow control, checksum for checking the error control. Then you have optional field, and then comes your data. So totally, the length of the TCP header is 20 bytes. Now, when you communicate or the application communicates with the transport layer or host-to-host layer, it uses logical port number. And as per the application, like FTP, it uses port number 20 and 21, which comes under TCP. Telnet, port number 23. Then SMTP, 25. These are some of the examples, but there are many. But all the application will be using particular logical port number to communicate with the transport layer protocol. Okay, DNS uses both TCP as well as UDP, and it uses port number 43. TFTP 69 under UDP, SNMP 161, and RIP is a routing protocol which uses port number 520. So these are the example how the communication happen between two hosts. So whenever the source host communicates, it will choose a logical port number randomly above 1024, and the destination port will be as per the application used. Now, if you want to telnet, the destination port will be 23, and source port will be a random port. This is how the three-way handshake takes place between two devices, between the source and the destination in a TCP reliable connection. So first packet will be sync, then you have sync acknowledge, and then acknowledge. So once this three packet exchange happens, the connection are established, then data transfer happens. And because of the three-way or three packet transfer, it is called as three-way handshake connection. It happens only in TCP network, not in UDP. This is an example of flow control. If the window size is 1, we have already discussed all these things earlier in the previous chapter. But let me just go through once again. Window size, if the window size, and flow control, for controlling the flow, if the window size is 1, for every cycle, you'll send 1 byte of data, and then you'll wait for the next packet. That means you will get the acknowledgement. If you receive the acknowledgement for the next packet, then you'll be sending the next packet. So if you receive packet number 1, then you'll be asking packet number 2. So it guarantees that the packet has been delivered and you are waiting for packet number 2. And then the source will send packet number 2 like that. And this is how the sequencing or the acknowledgement happens. So if the source says, I'm sending a packet number 11, and if the packet number 11 is delivered to the destination, it will tell, yes, I have received packet number 11. Please send packet number 12. Like that. So this is how the communication happens in a reliable protocol. This is another example where it is having a window size or windowing flow control with window size 3. Okay, so it depends on the size of the window, how much packet will be sent. And if the window size is 3, that means every cycle it will send 3 packets, 3 bytes of data. And if there is a congestion, if the packets are getting dropped, automatically it will adjust the window size. It will reduce the size of the window, and then it will transfer accordingly. If you look at the UDP segment or UDP header, the UDP header is compared to TCP header is shorter, and it is 8 byte. TCP header is 20 byte, UDP header is 8 byte. Why? Because there is no sequence number, no acknowledgement, and is unreliable and connectionless. It has only source port, destination port, length of the header, and the checksum. That means error checking. Then comes your data. Next, you go to internet layer. If you look at internet layer, yes, major protocols are working in internet layer. So IP, if you look at IP is working in internet layer. And there are also other protocols like ICMP, ARP, reverse ARP. All this protocol works in internet layer. So what is IP? IP is internet protocol, and this is called as a routed protocol, which is used to carry data from source to the destination. Okay. And if you look at ICMP, it is called as Internet Control Message Protocol. And it is the protocol which gives you the details or the status, what is going on in the network layer or internet layer. So before we go for other protocol or discussion with other protocol, let me cover IP header. So what is IP header, or how big is the IP header? It says IP header is 20 byte long. Okay, and represented with 32 bits. So if you look at the IP header, these are the contents. It says first you will have version number, that means which kind of IP you are running, IP version 4 or IP version 6. Okay, so later chapter will have IP version 6, IPv6, where we'll be discussing about the IPv6 header. So if you look at this, we have version number, okay, then we have header length, okay, then we have priority and type of service clause, which can be used for your giving priority to the packet, data packet as required. Okay, generally it will be used with your quality of service. Then total length, identification, then you have flag, which is used for your fragmenting the packet, or if your fragmentation used on going to use or not, fragment offset. Okay, then you have time to live, how long the packet can live in the network. Generally, this is used to prevent loop. Okay, loop. Okay, that means next. Protocol, yes, which kind of protocol will be using with this IP, TCP or UDP. So TCP, if you use TCP, it will use protocol number 6, and UDP it will use protocol number 17, and then header checksum. Okay, then after that you will have source IP address, destination IP address, optional field, and then you have data, which is variable. So total length of the IP header is 20 byte. So if I want to communicate between transport layer and the internet layer, that means and if you are using IP in the internet layer and communicates with transport layer, TCP, it will use protocol number 6. With UDP, it will use protocol number 17. So let us look into ICMP. What is ICMP? ICMP means Internet Control Message Protocol. It uses protocol number 1. Okay, generally this protocol gives you the status, what is going on in the internet layer. Generally, it gives you message whether the particular destination will be reachable or unreachable, port reachable or unreachable, destination unreachable, and mostly all the unreachable message will be handled here. So network unreachable, like that. So it uses a special option called as echo request, echo reply. Okay, generally ping is used to check the connectivity between two devices or two ends, and it uses echo request and echo reply. Ping is packet internet gopher, which is very, very popular in checking the connectivity of devices at layer 3. Okay, we can also use traceroute to check the connection or where the particular gateway or the path is failing. Generally, traceroute is used for tracking the path or determining the path between source to the destination. But all this protocol, all this utility like ping, traceroute, they'll be using ICMP. What is ARP? ARP means Address Resolution Protocol. Now, generally in the network, in a normal network, each device will be having IP address as well as MAC address. But if any device want to know the MAC address of the other device, it will send a broadcast. Okay, because he'll be knowing the MAC IP address, but he may not know the MAC address of that particular device. So he'll send a broadcast. So ARP is a broadcast. Okay, so once he sends the broadcast, it will be received by all other devices, but the IP address which belongs to that particular device, he is going to respond, or that particular device is going to respond. Okay, this is my IP address, this is my MAC address. Okay, so that's how the ARP table will be built. Okay, at the system or with the system. So generally, ARP or ARP is a protocol which is used to map MAC address with the IP address. That means you'll be knowing the MAC address, you'll be knowing the IP address, you'll be searching for the MAC address. So that's how it will be recorded. And it will build the table, ARP table. Example you can see on the screen. It says, I need an Ethernet address of 176.16.3.2. Okay, 172. Actually, it should be 172, not 176. Then that particular device will tell, yes, I heard that broadcast. The message is for me, so I am going to reply. So he will reply. All other devices, they will just drop the packet. Okay, and that's how the mapping will be done or binding will be done with the IP address with the MAC address. Next, we have another protocol. It's called as reverse ARP, which is used generally in your BootP or DHCP network. Whenever the device boots up, it will search for the IP address. It will have the MAC address. Every device will have MAC address, but it will wait for the IP address. So whenever the device boots up, it will shout, where is my MAC address? And it will be a broadcast, it will be going to everyone in the network. But the DHCP server is going to respond. He'll tell, okay, I have known your MAC address, recorded your MAC address. This is your IP address. So it will map the MAC address with the IP address. So that's how it works. So generally for DHCP, we'll be covering up in the later chapter, okay, how the DHCP works. What is DHCP? DHCP means Dynamic Host Control Configuration Protocol, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So more details will be coming in the later chapter as per the syllabus and as we come across. So the major function of this protocol is to map the MAC address with the IP address in the network or for a particular host. Okay, whoever requests in his IP address, it will be served by the server, DHCP server or the PuTTY server. So that's the end of this chapter. We'll be meeting tomorrow with the next chapter. Okay, thank you. See you in the next class.